Every so often, a fighter comes into the UFC. He's young, athletic, and most importantly, he's undefeated. This type of occurrence is extremely rare, but when it does happen, it makes you beg the question, will he become one of the greats?
I am the greatest.
But to maintain that level of poise and that undefeated record in the UFC, impossible. The last and only to ever do it was the great Khabib Nurmagomedov. However, one fighter who ticked all of these boxes and was undefeated through all 7 of his UFC bouts was a man they called Mokaev. He looked to be the second coming and the revival to the flyweight division with the goal of becoming the greatest of all time. It seemed imperative that the UFC hold on to this special kid. After all, undefeated records on the line makes for big pay-per-views and headlines. But the news that took all MMA fans by storm showed otherwise. Dana, in a shocking move, was adamant about not renewing this kid's contract and no further talks or justifications would commence. But how did an undefeated up-and-coming star with the whole roadway paved for him get let go by the biggest fighting promotion in the world? This is the story and tragic tale of Mokaev. The story of Muhammad goes back to Dagestan, where Mokaev was born on July 30th of 2000. Unlike the other Dagestanis like Khabib, who grew up only knowing about mixed martial arts and fighting bears, Mokaev was distant from the sport. By the age of 12, Mokaev would get hit with his first piece of adversity in his life with the death of his own very mother. This would incite both Mokaev and his father to move to England in hopes of a better life. Here, Mokaev would be exposed to the art of freestyle wrestling, and he had joined the Manchester Wrestling Club in 2013. This would mark the start of something great that Mokaev never could have dreamed of. Mokaev began his amateur debut in November of 2015, quickly ranking up 4 wins by the end of 2016. By the age of 16, he became the Tanko FC flyweight champ. He fought out of a gym that he used to clean mats to maintain his membership, and for the next 4 years of doing so, he remained undefeated. Mokaev made the jump to his professional MMA career in August of 2020. Here, Mokaev would win by significant margins, including Fight of the Night awards and multiple submission finishes. These incredible outings by Mokaev, and namely his undefeated professional record, would catch the attention of the UFC, and on November 17th of 2021, Dana would add this prized fighter to his roster. The real test for Mokaev would begin with his signing to the UFC. He would now be a part of the best, and his talents would be put to the ultimate of challenges. His judgment day in the UFC would ensue against Cody Durden on March 19th of 2022. Mokaev, however, would continue where he left off and showcase his dominant wrestling abilities. He finished Cody by guillotine and earned his very first performance of the night bonus in his very first match. He would go on to fight 2 more times this year, with each ending in a victory for Mokaev, and he would continuously grow that coveted undefeated record. 2023 would see Mokaev fight another 2 times, with the first fight against Joffel Filo, submitting him by crank submission, and in the latter fight, he earned his second fight of the night bonus with an arm triangle against Tim Elliott. And his unrunning throttle would not end there. Earlier this year, he fought Alex Perez, where the fight would end in a unanimous decision win, and through his first 6 fights, Mokaev remained undefeated, and his dreams of becoming a formidable champ were on the cusp of his fingertips. On May 16th, 2024, Dana announced an exhilarating UFC 304 card headlining Leon vs. Bilal. Dana also announced that Mokaev would fight Capet in his first main card fight in the UFC. Nearing closer to UFC 304, however, is where things would start to take a turn. Muhammad Mokaev was seen outside the hotel of Capet, asking to take a photo before sucker punching him and starting a brawl right outside of the hotel. Although this was an extreme low blow for Mokaev, Mokaev says it's in response to Capet headbutting him earlier in March, right before his Perez fight. Additionally, Dana moved the fight from the original main card down to the prelims. And to stir up the pot even more, allegedly, UFC officials had told Mokaev to not lean into a wrestling heavy style ahead of the fight. But despite all of this drama during fight week, the fight would commence, but what fans ended up getting was a 3-round staring match. Mokaev still ended up winning, remaining undefeated. However, for Mokaev, this would prove to be the toughest night of his career.
He's not under contract anymore. would you be interested in, you know, keeping him around in the fall?
I think the PFL is going to get a great undefeated guy.
This devastating blow in his life could only come second next to Mokaev's death of his mother. Due to the unsuspecting news, the situation sparked many speculations and outbursts from UFC fans and fighters themselves. Tom Aspinall, current interim heavyweight champ, stated how the situation was unfair to Mokaev, and a similar take from Chael Sonnen also stated how he hopes the UFC resigns Mokaev, and he also doesn't know what realistically he could have done to get cut. Sources say it was his fighting style, the hotel incidents, or even just the difficulty dealing with the matchmakers, most of which don't really hold merit. McGregor sided with Dana with the decision, however he too on a larger scale caused many mishaps before fights as well. But even after the cut from the UFC and Dana White saying that the PFL will get a great undefeated guy, the PFL too are not interested in Mokaev. Muhammad was recently begging to Dana for a second chance and even offering to fight for free. And with no response yet from Dana, Mokaev seems to have accepted the situation. Recently, he teased a new endeavor in his fighting career, and whether it's for permanently switching to a new promotion or hopes of getting signed by the UFC once again, showing off more of his talents, the whole situation is extremely tragic and upsetting for the Dagestani. This is a man who is undefeated, showcasing a wide array of talents and on the cusp of the flyweight title shot. And with the majority of UFC fighters being vocal about the situation, I'm curious to think what you guys think. Will the UFC ever bring this guy back? And was it unjust for Mokaev to be cut from the UFC and unfold the way it did? This entire situation just goes to show the unforgiving nature of life itself, and how anything can be stripped from you at any given moment. I'm sure more light on the situation will come out and specifics on why he got cut, but if you guys enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with the best MMA content, make sure you like and subscribe. I love all you guys. Peace.